let's get started. So to give you guys a little bit of insight in terms of what we're going to be doing today for this workshop. Let me make sure I have all my documents open just in case. And it's not super cluttered. We're going to be creating a model. And then we're going to be creating an animation from that model. So it's going to be pretty cool. I hope you guys enjoy it. Bear with me. Errors always tend to happen, even with the last Tinkercad workshop. I was able to fix them. So hopefully the same perfect workshop goes for this one today. So yeah, this is the Fusion 360 workshop. You're going to be learning the basics of Fusion 360, how to extrude, how to create sketches, models, and animations. Some of the other cool stuff that you could create with Fusion, if you've ever heard of CAM, so like those milling machines, you could actually create the format in which you are going to mill these components in metal, basically. But you could also create, like I said, sketches, animations, simulations, and renders as well, which is really cool. A lot of stuff that you could do, and it's pretty user-friendly, especially for people that are beginners. If you take a few courses, or even with this workshop, you'll get ahead of what you think you could do. But yeah, so what are we going to be learning today? We're going to be learning basics of Fusion 360. We're going to learn how to navigate the software. We're going to be creating a conceptual design, and then we're going to create an animation from that, as well as exporting it to a 3D file that we could then print. Oh, hey, Hoy. What's up? I'm excited for ShellHacks. First time or being an organizer, so it's a little bit nerve-wracking, but also a super fun experience, especially with it being virtual. It changes it up a bit. I would have liked it to be in person, but hey, what are you gonna do? You have to play with the cards that you were dealt, essentially. Thanks, Gabby. So yeah, this is the user interface of Fusion 360. So essentially, you have the data panel. You also have, which includes like file, save, undo, redo, and some of those things have shortcuts to them. Thank you. Hopefully, did you did the Tinkercad workshop in Fusion now? Will you do a blend? That would actually be pretty cool. I feel like a lot of people would enjoy creating some sort of character model, like an anime character or something like that, which would probably be a lot better to do with Blender. But I haven't had too much experience with Blender. But yeah, so also we have the toolbar, which gives you some of the methods and features that you're going to be able to use to manipulate the model that we're going to be making. We have profile and help. The good thing about Fusion is that it's cloud-based as well. If you guys want to follow along, I should mention this now because it might take a while for some of you if you haven't downloaded this software. It also has a browser version, so you might be able to do that. But make sure to use your student access or edition, because I do believe that if you don't have a student account, then you might need to pay for it. But yeah, we also have the view cube that's over here on the top right, and that's going to allow us to navigate and look around the model. We also have the context menu, which is a shortcut that you could use by pressing down your right button and then choosing what it is that you want to do in that section of the model. We also have the timeline, which is very useful whenever you're going forward and back in history of things that you might have done or you wanted to fix. And you also have the navigation bar and the display settings for for number 8, and that also makes it so you could look at different angles of the model. But yeah, so some navigation controls that you to keep in mind, because whenever it comes to navigating around the model, it could be a little bit tedious to get the hang of it if you don't know the actual keys to use. But essentially, the scroll wheel, you use it to zoom in and out. If you hold the scroll wheel and move it, then you'll be able to pan the view. And then if you hit Shift and the middle mouse button, then you'll be able to go like instead of panning, rotate around it. And then, like I said, you have the shortcuts, and these shortcuts are enabled by right-clicking and holding and then dragging to what it is that you want to do. So with further ado, let's start working with Fusion 360. This is the model that we're going to be creating. I should mention that this top lip right here, as well as the bolt, I have the files for those because those would have been a little bit too difficult to create here in the time that we have. But I'm also going to be showing you a way that you could use a wing nut and import it directly from a feature that Fusion has. So yeah, let's get started. So if you want to follow along, make sure to open up your Fusion 360. This is essentially what we're going to create, but since we're starting a new design, you're going to go over here to New, to File, and then we're going to click on New Design. Okay, so from here, initially what you always want to do is you want to create a sketch. So by creating a sketch, you have to pick the plane in which you want to work on. It doesn't really matter, but if we want to keep things consistent, then we'll go ahead and use this plane right here. So since we want to create this sort of model, what we're going to need to use is some sort of guide to get the bottom half of this to the angle and the curve that we want. So what we're going to be doing for that is we're going to be creating a pipe. So initially, we have the sketch. We're going to click on this center diameter circle, and then we're going to click on the middle, and then we're going to drag it out. From here, you could put the amount of distance that you want this pipe to be. So we're going to go ahead and give it 2 inches. Hopefully, you have 2 inches by default. If not, then you could go over here to document settings and change your units that you're using. So if it is for whatever reason in centimeters, then you can change it to inches so that it's a lot more realistic in terms of how it would look in real life. But from there, what we're going to want to do, we're going to first finish the sketch, and then we're going to create a cylinder. So we're going to go to the Create option. We're going to go down here to Cylinder, and then we're going to click on the sketch that, oh, wait, did I do that right? Yeah, so actually, I think I might have done that incorrectly. It's okay, no worries. So go to Create. You could press Control-Z to back towards the beginning of where we were at. You could also do it the way that we were doing it, but just so that we have an understanding of different concepts and features that Fusion has, just go Control-V, and then we're going to go to Cylinder. We're going to create, click on the face that we want to use, and then do the same thing. We're going to click on the middle and give it 2 inches. What this is going to do is going to give us a cylinder, and then from there we could give it how much we want it to be. In this case, we're going to give it 5 inches, and then we're going to make sure to make it a new component. Now, this is something that's very important when it comes to Fusion 360, is whether you're going to use a component or a body. It's normally better to use a component. Reason being is that each component has its own plane, and that makes it so that not all the parts of the model that you're creating are on the same plane, and then that's going to avoid some issues later on. So we're going to create a new component and give it 5 inches. And then it seems a little bit small to me at this point. So then what we're going to do is we're going to, let's go ahead and just extrude it. So we're going to go to create, we're going to click on extrude, and then we're going to click on this face, and then we're going to join it. And then joining it basically makes it so that it's part of this model, so it's a solid piece. And there we go. So now from here, we're going to go ahead and create another sketch. If you want to use the shortcuts, you could maybe practice with that. So right click on your mouse, and then I don't know why it's not coming up for me, but it comes up after for whatever reason. Anyways, if your shortcut doesn't work, like it's not working for me, which is fine, go ahead and click on create sketch. And then we want it to be on the same plane, since we're going to be creating the bottom part of the clamp from this pipe. So from here, we're again going to click on the center diameter circle. We're going to click on the middle, and then we're going to put it out to the 2 inches again. What we're going to do differently here is that we're going to give it an offset. Give me 1 second, sorry guys. Yeah, so once we hit offset, we're going to, again, create this. Oh, sorry. Okay, yeah, so the way that this works is that once you create the sketch, let me make sure I have the sketch. We're going to make it 2 inches. We're going to give it an offset. Once we give it an offset, yeah, so I'm sorry about that, guys. Like I said, I'm a little bit nervous, but so create the sketch. What we're going to do from here is we're going to make it a little bit further out from the actual pipe circle. And then from there, we're going to create a line that's going to go from here to the middle to all the way out. And then we're going to make another line that's going to go all the way out to here. And then the reason we do this is that we're going to use those points to then have that sort of circular model here on the sides. So then we're going to, again, create the center diameter circle. We're going to click here on the outside of the outer circle, and then we're going to create it so that it's hitting the pipe. Okay, perfect. So from here, what we're going to be going and doing is that we're going to go ahead and extrude it. Once we finish the sketch, go ahead and extrude it. And the parts of the sketch that we're going to be using are just the lower parts. So how you're going to do that is just click on them, and they will go ahead and be clicked on so that you could then be able to extrude it. I think I might have, yeah. So let me try that again. So I don't want it to, I think I know what I did wrong. Bear with me, guys. I'll try to do as best as I can. So let's go back and do Control-Z, Control-Y to go forward if you need to. So we've created this one sketch, which is this outer circle. And then we have this also, this inner sketch from the pipe, but for whatever reason, it's not recognizing that. So we're going to create another circle. And then from there, it should be able to recognize this part of the sketch so that whenever we extrude it, it's not a problem in terms of and being able to extrude that bottom part. So we're going to go here, and then again, finish sketch, extrude. Oh man, and I forgot the lines. Okay, so go ahead and create a line from the middle out, again from the middle out. Once we get over this part, then it should be pretty simple from there. If you have any questions, let me know. How do you get those sketch tools? Yeah, so it's on the top right here. This is the sketch section of the program. So once we create the sketch, we can extrude, and we're only going to be extruding these parts right here. Perfect. You see, everything works out. So then what this is going to allow us to do, we also want that part of it to be there. So make sure to include that top part of the circle. Make sure to, again, make it a new component so that it has its own plane. And then from there, we're going to extrude it. We could go ahead and use the arrow key if you would like. All right, so from there, we can go ahead and click OK. And we kind of got that type of shape that we want. It seems a little bit too long, so we could do it again. And this time make it a little bit smaller. 3.5 is fine. Make it a new component, and then press OK. So as you can see, they have different names here. So that we have this everything nice and clean, we could go ahead and give these names. So we'll give the pipe name, and then we'll give this part a saddle name. And then, as you can see here also, whenever we click on this makes it so that this is the only component that we're messing with. So that if we, for whatever reason, are trying to maybe cut this in some sort of way, it's not going to mess with all the other models, especially if you don't have it in sight. But in this case, we're going to be using the parent assembly. So from here, what we're going to do, let's go ahead and click on the icon so that it takes away the pipe, and then we have a clear image of what we're doing here. So now we're going to want to create the bottom part of the model. And the way that we're going to create that is by using the offset plane. So what the offset plane allows us to do is make sure that we know where in the field this plane is going to start. So we're going to move this a little bit down, and then this allows it so that later on, if for whatever reason we're changing the dimensions of a model, it's always going to start from this plane, and it's not going to go under it. So from there, we're going to create a sketch. And then if we want to kind of view that sketch, we could click on the top view. And then we're going to create a rectangle. So for the rectangle, again, we're going to, let me see. Give me, again, 1 second, guys. Sorry about that. So for some reason, I don't know why, but so you click on offset plane, and then you click on the plane that you're going to use. We're going to move that down. And then once we move it down, we want to create a sketch on top of that. Oh, okay, so we just have to click on it. I'm stupid. I'm not stupid. I'm smart. But now that we were able to use that, we're going to create a rectangle. We don't want to create a 2-point rectangle. We're going to want to create a center rectangle because we're going to want to have it at the middle of that model that we have here, so that we kind of we're able to cover it basically completely. It would have been better to have it in the middle, but for now, let's just go with our eyes, and we'll later on move it if we have to. What I would say in this case, if you're running into this issue as well, just make sure that it's not shorter than the model, but it's about there. So in this case, that would, yeah, you know what? I'll show you guys a few tricks so that you guys learn from this experience as well. But essentially, once we have created that sketch, we're going to go ahead and extrude it. And then when we extrude this out, we don't want it to cut, right? So we're not going to want this cut. What we're going to want to do is make it a join so that it becomes part of the sketch. Now, as you can see, I have a little issue here, right? What I could do to kind of take that away, even though it doesn't really matter, but basically you could create another sketch on here and then remove it. So you would create a rectangle here, and then once you create that rectangle, we would extrude this back as much as we need it so that it becomes flush. And there we go. I say that all the time, I gotta stay positive. Yeah, bro, for real. But yeah, so now that we have this kind of shape that we kind of want, as you can see from here, what we're gonna want to do is kind of give it a fillet so it's a little bit smoother. So from here, what we're gonna do, we're gonna use the fillet tool. This is the fillet tool. This basically makes it so that any edge that you click on will become smooth. So we're going to click on these 3 lines, and then actually 4 lines. So again, click on the fillet. Then from there, we're going to give it that sort of smoothing edge so that it looks nice. And then we're going to go ahead and click OK. From here, what we're going to do, since we want these pipes to go through it, we're going to click on this whole button, and we're going to go ahead and click on the middle of it. And then we're going to be able to move it, and it's going to give us that center. And then we're going to use this button right here to determine the diameter of that hole. From here, what we're going to want to do is that we're going to make it all. And the reason we do that is so that whenever we have, we're making a model and we're creating an extrusion or a removal of a model, we keep it like that so that later on, if we add a part to this part of it, it's not considering. So how to explain this to you? Basically, if you were to, for whatever reason, add another part to this model and you were to include it inside this little section, it would be removed. But because we're putting it all, it's only considering this model. Okay, so we're going to click OK, and we're going to do it to the other side. We could actually use the mirror function for this. So if you don't know, you could use the S key, and that's going to bring up the shortcut. This is really helpful because, like you just saw, I knew I needed to use the mirror function, but I didn't know where it was. So from there, we would create a mirror, and we would use a plane, and this is the plane that we would use so that it would reflect onto the other side. And then we're going to give it to this object. Mirror plane, select, object, select. Let's see if it works. If not, then what we'll do is that we'll just, did it work? So it seemed like it did work, but there's still a pipe in there. Yeah. So what I would say for this is just go ahead and extrude them one by one. So again, you would click on the hole, click on this side, move it to the center, and then move this over here so that it's smaller. Again, if you're not super comfortable with the movement, click on your shift and then your mouse so that you could do this type of movement. If you just want to pan, just click on your middle mouse button and you'll be able to do that. So again, we're going to click all on this so that extrudes all of it. And then what we're going to do now is we're going to be removing part of the middle because as you can see from this diagram, we have this middle part not there so that we have these components that could move. So then how we're going to do this is that we're going to take advantage of the library and we're going to go back to where we made that sketch. Yeah. Let's see if we could move the sketch. Hopefully we can. So what I did there is I pressed M on it. So essentially what I want to do, it seems like I did something wrong, but you know, everyone has issues. What I wanted to do is essentially I wanted to use this sketch that I had here so that I could extrude part of it. And I'll show you what I mean. Sorry about that. So click on the sketch and see if it works. We right click on it and then we do edit sketch. No, that's not correct. Okay, so in this case, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be honest with you. I might have forgotten the actual step. I do know how to use Fusion, so I'm going to do it the way that I would do it if I was the one that was making this model. So what I would do in this situation is that I would create a plane that would face from the top. And then I would create a rectangle that would take the section that I don't want. From here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to extrude this out. And then I would get that sort of idea that I want there. But it's only going in one direction, so what I'm going to do is make it symmetrical so that it goes up as well. And it's basically creating that same form factor that I wanted. It wasn't maybe the best way, but it's still a way that's doable. And I think in every engineering job, if you don't know how to do it, you either figure it out, right? But now what we want to do is we want to fillet this out so that it looks a lot prettier. So if you got lost there, again, I'll say what I did. I created a sketch from the top view. And then I created a rectangle using this 2-point rectangle that went on top of the model and cut those pieces out because I didn't want that there. So from here, what we're going to do is we're going to fillet it. So we're going to go to Modify. We're going to click on Fillet. And then we're going to fillet all these edges. And then let's see how that looks. Is that what we want? Let's also click on these edges as well. And it creates kind of the idea in which we were going for, which is a smooth edge so that the thing that we have moving within it is able to rotate. Okay, so now from this point, what we're going to want to do is that we're going to want to export these different components that we have here. So you may not have this. So what I would say is please save this design. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys this model, this top clamp model, so you guys could continue to follow along. I'm going to go ahead and put it inside the hardware track chat. So give me a second while I put that there, and I'm also going to give you another two files, because we're also going to need the hardware that we're going to use to clamp it on. But now that we have there, we're going to go ahead and insert this into the model. If you do click on those links that I put inside the Discord, how you're going to want to export that in or import that in is by basically opening it up by clicking on it and then saving it. Once you save it, it will appear on your dashboard here on the left side. And then you right click on it and then insert it into the current design. So at this point, what we're going to do first is that we're going to now create cylinders that we're going to go through the holes and are going to make it so that this clamp can stick onto there. So we're going to again create a sketch. In this case, we're going to do it on this side. We're going to create a circle using the center diameter circle. Click on here. We're going to try to make it either the same size or a little bit smaller. And then we'll be able to move that later if we need to for whatever reason. And how you move things is by pressing on M once you have created that. So there I moved that there. And then I'm going to extrude that this way and make it go all the way through. And then we're going to do the same on the other side. So we're going to, again, first of all, make sure that this is a new component. Always got to remember having it be a new component because it's going to be a lot easier later on, trust. And then we're going to, again, create another sketch for a circle over here on this side. So we'll make it as close as possible. And then you can see it's a little bit off, so we're going to press the M key on your keyboard. And then we're going to click on the hand and move it into place. And then from there, we're going to extrude it. I will also be giving you guys the final model so that you guys can actually look at the process and the timeline in which I did for it, and then follow along that way. So then now that we have those two pipes in there, we're going to go ahead and put this into place. So we're going to click on this, and then we're going to click on move. Let's go ahead and orient it in a better way so that it's a little bit easier to see. And then from here, we're going to use the joint. So what the joint allows us, the joint option, the joint allows us to give structure to our models so that we can put this the way that we want it to. So we're going to want to use the middle part of this. And the way we do that is that once we get this highlighted, we're going to press Shift, and it's going to, where is it all? Is Alt. We're going to hold Alt, and then we're going to click on this middle part after we've clicked on joint, and then again we're going to click on the middle part of this bar right here. And it's going to go ahead and put that into place as a joint. I want to make sure that I make a revolution because if not, then it may cause issues later on. Yeah, so once you do a joint, you want to click on motion and you want to click on revolt so that we have that sort of motion that we want to get from it. Because if we were to do rigid, that's not really the type of motion that we want. We don't want it to be a slider. But so you get a sense of the type of movements and joints that you could create with the Fusion 360. I'll go ahead and click on all of them. Okay, so again, we want revolt. So we'll use that. And there. So it looks like it's pretty good. The only thing I would say is that it seems a little bit off to the left. So again, you could click on it and maybe move it a little bit to the left of it, or to the right, and it should be better. Yeah, perfect. So another thing to mention, whenever you're dealing with models, you want to give one of the models that you have a ground. We're not going to give the ground to the pipe, we're going to give it to the saddle. And what this is going to do is that it's going to make it so that whenever we're moving our models, they're not moving all, weird saying, but they're not moving all willy-nilly. So like if I could show you in this example, well, that's not supposed to, okay. So something that I just realized that I did not do is give a joint to the actual pipe. Because as you can see, I moved this away and it's not connected to this narrow passage right here. So we're gonna do the same thing. I believe we could use as built joint. I might be wrong. We're gonna try it out. Yeah, so let's see if that worked. Perfect. Okay. So let me explain what I did right there. Sorry about that. I just wanted to make sure it worked before I showed you guys. So as you can see, this moves all the way around, right? If we put it back where we had it, and we click as built joint, basically what that's saying is that the way that it is built right now, if we wanted to create that joint from there, then we would use that button, and then we'll create a rigid model. Obviously, you would have to click on the two objects that you're trying to combine or joint. So that would be that pipe, and then it would be the saddle. So then you would click OK. And now what happened now? I think I went back too much and I didn't give the saddle the ground. Yeah. As you can see, now we're getting the motion that we want. Cool. So from here, what we're going to want to do, we're going to want to also give this a joint that is structured to this part of the model. So we're going to click on joint. We're going to do capture. We're going to click on the middle of the pipe. And then that's not what we want. So I would say in this case, just do the same thing that we did on this side and create an as built joint, where we click on the pipe and then we click on the saddle, and it creates a rigid body there. Again, if you're having stuff move, you could make the saddle go ground, so that it doesn't move, and that only the stuff that you want to move does move. So from this point, we have the two pipes on the two sides. We have the top clamp. What we're going to now import is the hardware that we're going to be using. So again, I put this in the Discord as well if you're following along. And then we're going to do similar stuff in that we're going to give this a joint as well. And then the way that we're going to do that is, well, first of all, as you can see, the model that I gave you does have a little bit of deformity, and that's going to be an issue once we actually want to model this. The good thing about these models and Fusion is that it makes it super easy to remove things like this. But since this is something that we got from the outside, it has this chain here. And this chain makes it so that we can't manipulate it. But we could remove this chain by right-clicking on it. So once you are done moving it, let me... again, I forgot to mention this, but if you double-click on your middle mouse button, it gives you an in-zoom view of the model that you have. So if you right-click on the hardware and you break the link, capture position, now you'll be able to actually delete this part from the model. So click on it, and then click Alt or Control, and click on the other bottom part of it, and then just click on Delete, and that should be removed. So from that point, what we can do is give this a joint as well. So we're going to click on Joint. We're going to use the middle part of this, and then we're going to use the middle part of the pipe. and it seems like it recognized that it was a revolution, which it is. Okay, cool. So at this point, we move this down. It should fall right into place. If it doesn't, it's fine. You could, again, move this to the side a little bit if you wanted to. It may break things, but who hasn't broken anything? Just kidding, but. So let's click on M. Let's move that. All right, yeah, it's not working. Anyways, we'll leave this here for now. You could probably configure this a little bit to the left, but at this point, we'll just go with it, and we'll continue with the presentation. So now what we're going to want to do is that we're going to want to first give this this hardware some thread. And you could use that by, again, pressing the S button and then looking up thread. So we're going to give the thread to this face. And then from there, we can do a model so that we could see how it will look. And then we could also, since we don't want this to go all the way down, we're going to click on full length so that it's not the full length, and then we could tell it where to stop. And then the reason we want this is that, well, essentially we would want this to be higher, because if we put this all the way down, then it's going to create some very strange lining over here on the bottom part of it. So once we move this up, we'll give it a little bit more distance. And then we'll click OK. And then now we're going to go ahead and use a really cool feature that Fusion has, which is importing models from Mcmaster car component. So ideally, some of the stuff that we use in models, we don't always want to model ourselves. We want to take those models from other people that have created it, just to avoid unnecessary work. So we're going to go and we're going to click on and search wingnut. You could click whichever, ideally one that has a hole in it. And then once we click on the model that we want, we'll go to some size that we want to have. In this case, I'll go with just the 3/4. And then we're going to click on product details. And then we're going to scroll down. And if we have here, it has a save so that we could save that to our Fusion. I recommend using 3D SAT. It's been the most reliable from what I've heard. But you could also use other files or file types. Let's see. Now that seems like a very small nut. But this will be a perfect opportunity to show you how you could use a scale. So let's see if we have a scale. Yeah. So if you use the scale option, then you could click on the thing that you want to scale, and you could make it bigger. Now we wouldn't want to make it too bigger because then it's going to obviously look not normal. But we'll make it a little bit bigger, and then from there we'll just click OK, and we'll click on the model. We're going to move it so that we can kind of see the way that we want it to be placed within the nut or within the screw. So again, we're going to use joint here. So from there, let's click on joint. We're going to be using the middle of the nut. So maybe if you look from the bottom side of it, it may be a little bit easier, which it is. So we clicked on that side of it, and then we'll just click on the other side of this right here. And as you can see, it's a pretty on par with what we want. How did you search? So if you press S on your keyboard, then that will bring up the search bar. It's a super useful tool, especially with all the features and tools that they give us. That shortcut will save your life and save a lot of time. So from this point on, we can basically get this sort of image. It's not as pretty as this one, but you get the idea basically, and you could probably refine it to make it look a lot better if you had the time or the knowledge to do so. But like I said, we were also going to create an animation, so that's what we're going to do. So now what we're going to do is create that animation. And the way that we're going to do that is, now that we have this model set up, we're going to go ahead over here to the right, and we're going to click on animation. And this tool is pretty cool because it makes it so that you can make some really nice videos without that hard of an interface. So essentially, the way that this works is that these are the keyframes. This is basically the timeline of the animation that you're trying to make. So we'll go ahead and click on the 10-second time frame, or the keyframe. And then at that point, whatever movement that you do within the model is going to be recorded within this time frame. So essentially what I would want to do initially is move all these components out of the model so that whoever may be interested in this could see all the parts that are required within it. So we're going to click on each part of the model, and we're going to drag it out. And then click OK. And as you can see here, this is basically the movement that we've created. And that in this time frame, that's the movement that you're going to see. So again, if we click on another component, we're going to move it out, click OK, and it should appear down here. Again, we're going to click on another model, move it up so as to show that it's going to be screwing onto there. And then we could also move all this stuff out of the way and put it back into place after, which should make it look pretty cool. Okay, and then one other thing that I want to do, we're going to make it orbit around the model. And this is going to create a pretty cool animation. So let's go ahead and see what it looks like from there. Yeah, so that's essentially the animation that we would want. Obviously, we would want it to go and join back together. So then we could go back to another 20 or 10 seconds of the keyframe and then move these items back into place. And then we'll also create a different orbiting effect so that whoever may be interested in this model can then understand how exactly it's moving. So let me do that one again. Okay. And then let's create another movement. And then let's see how that looks. You could also make the nut rotate. You would just have to create that movement within the model. So I give you, I'll see if I could edit that maybe. Yeah. So if I were to click on this model and click on the M button, we would be able to create that circular motion of it being screwed by, within that time frame, creating that action. And I'm just showing you guys an example as to, so you could get the idea of how this animation works. But yeah, that's basically it. I'm gonna show you guys the animation that I made with the actual proper design. But I hope you guys got some sort of knowledge from this. It wasn't, perfect, but it will do, So let me show you this. This is an animation that I made with the proper. well, this isn't what I want. So let me go here. And then let me go to animation and show you the animation that I made with this model. And yeah, like I said, I hope you guys got something out of this. I definitely had some content in there that should be worth it. Again, I'll post the model of the complete model in the Discord as well. So if you guys want to play around with that, look at the history and how exactly it was made. A lot of the same features that we had in the model that we made today are similar. A few of them were a little bit different in terms of different tools and ways that you could create something. But that's the good thing about 3D modeling, that there's not one structured way of doing it. There may be easier ways than others and proper ways compared to others, but it's up to the person and the designer at that point. Again, I guess I want to thank you guys. Thank you, Alexander. I really appreciate that. I thought it would be a lot harder. Yeah, no, Fusion 360 is actually pretty easy, especially if you don't think about having to do it the way that the professionals do it, even though that's the better way. But as a beginner, tinkering with it, that's the way that I learned about like how to do it. I can show you some of the other models that I've created. So actually, for ShellHacks, I created this model. I believe this was my first ShellHacks, 2019. And I actually printed this out with my 3D printer, and I brought it to ShellHacks, and I showcased it. I put it on my Instagram. They retweeted or reposted it. But like just so you could see the type of stuff that you could create. This is another model that I was making for a friend of mine. He has a company that he's trying to create, Palm Made, and he's also a hairstylist. So you can kind of see the different type of stuff that you could create. And this Mario cube, I created it actually at the first make workshop that I had gone to when I was still a member. And yeah, this is also really cool to make. So there's tutorials online if you want to learn how to make stuff like this. And like I said, it's not too difficult, as you can see from the model that we created today. Nice. Yeah, thank you, man. Yeah, it's pretty cool. But yeah, I think that's gonna be it for the Fusion 360 workshop. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Yeah, bro. Yeah, I definitely encourage you to try it. It's not too difficult. It's basically the same concepts of creating a sketch, making the circle, extruding these little pieces, and then you could use the mirrors and the revolution so that instead of doing it on each side, it does it for you, as well as the question marks. You essentially just need to create one question mark on one side of the cube, use a revolution, and then it'll copy it on all the sides. So you get a kind of an idea of how it's made. But yeah, again, I want to thank you guys for coming. I hope you enjoyed it. If you guys want to watch this recording back, it's going to be posted later on. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your ShellHacks. Make sure to check out all the other workshops that we're having this weekend. And also make sure to talk to some of the companies if you're looking for an internship or full time. Saved me a lot of time. I was going to try to do it. That image. Yeah, bro. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of features and tools that make it a lot easier. You just got to be aware of them. Thank you, man. You too, bro. Enjoy the rest of the fair as well. And thanks, Gabby. I appreciate you being here and demoing along with me. Hackathon fair, same thing. Yeah, same thing. I think it's the same thing. As long as there's events happening, workshops, it's the same thing. But all right then. I'm gonna go ahead and close the workshop or the chat or the session. But if you guys have any questions, make sure to reach out to me on Discord. I'll put the file to the completed one online, and yeah, if you need anything else from me, just let me know. Thank you guys. See you.